Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Janice R. Love, also known as the First Lady Coach, and I equip Christian women to transform their troubles meant for bad into their blessed. Let's go. Right. Tonight, we are going to be talking about for the best mental health, it's time to start preaching to the choir. Now, we all know the saying. My husband says it all the time. If he's up preaching about something and he feels like the congregation feels the very same way that he does, he'll say, I'll quit preaching to the choir. But as we talk about mental health tonight and some of the things that I've learned about especially women's mental health, then it might be time for us to start preaching to the choir again so that we can all be on the same page and we can do something about this epidemic that is taking over our nation. Now, we all know mental health, everybody right now would agree that mental health is a challenge, especially amongst our youth, but it's the same kind of challenge when it comes to adults, especially women. As I talk about here today, sometimes we don't really even recognize depression in women or even instances of mental health challenges. We don't even recognize it because we're often looking for things that other people experience, and Black women especially may be a little different. So again, we'll get into that in a second. So the reason why I am talking about this is because I ran across some unique statistics that were published by Lifeway. And the first reason why we need to start preaching to the choir again is because, first of all, pastors and churches are not talking about mental health challenges. In fact, there was a Lifeway survey done. Survey says that some 23% of pastors acknowledge that they have personally experienced or struggled with mental health illness or mental health challenges, and whether that existed in depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, or even eating disorders or drug addiction, pastors are saying they're being challenged with it. And oftentimes they are not going to step up to the plate and say that they are experiencing challenges, again, not wanting to disclose that because there's still a lot of stigma in the church about mental health challenges. Anyway, but mental health challenges we know exist in the pew. But let me tell you that pastors are not in a hurry to talk about mental health issues in the pulpit. In fact, some 49% in this Lifeway Research study says 49% says that they rarely or never speak to their congregations about mental health challenges. However, 65% of the memberships uh, who are dealing with people, whether it's themselves or family members, they want their church to talk openly about it. So think about it. When is the last time you were sitting in church and you got a mental health message? Think about it. Even with the situations that are going on with suicide in our nation, when is the last time your pastor preached about mental health challenges? Hmm. Or think about this. How many, well, I'm jumping ahead of it. But first reason why we've got to start preaching again to the choir is because it's not being talked about in the churches. Again, if you just think about it in your own church, how often is that coming up? And does your church have a mental health team? Or when couples are having challenges, are they calling the pastor? And again, some pastors are not equipped to handle that kind of stuff. Some people think you can just say, go pray about it and everything's going to be all right. But we know with mental health challenges, you can't just pray about it. In fact, you might be praying and praying and praying and nothing might not move. But if we ask for help, from a professional, then that makes all the difference in the world. But I'm not going to go there just yet. I just really want to talk about the fact that as churches, we are not talking about mental health challenges. Now, if somebody shows up in the church that maybe has some challenges or something, we'll kind of handle that under the rug, but we are not openly talking about it. And why is that? Anybody have some answers as to why that is happening? Is it because it's taboo? There's a certain amount of shame that is still attached to talking about the fact that you're having these kinds of challenges in the church. Because again, we're quick to say, go meet with the pastor, pray about it, or or girl, here's a Bible study, go over that. So again, first of all, the very first reason why we've got to start preaching to the choir again, right, is because we are just not talking about it in church. The pastor's not talking about it, and neither are the members. Now, I know in my church during the month of October, usually in May, we'll have a mental health moment or something where one of our professionals will come on and give some information, but it usually stops at that. All right. Okay. So again, that's the very first reason why we need to start preaching to the choir again. Okay. So secondly, the thing is that we already know that we're living in troubled times, and we know especially for those who are dealing with depression. Depression shows up more often in women than it does in men. But let me explain to you something I recently read. I think it was New York University who looked at the study of depression in African American women. So we all know the symptoms of depression, meaning that you feel hopeless, that you are struggling with, maybe sleep kinds of issues. Maybe you again are losing weight or are gaining weight or eating disorders, those kinds of things. We are familiar with some of the textbook ways that depression shows up in individuals. Okay, but what this study showed is oftentimes Black women are misdiagnosed because we exhibit a certain strength about ourselves, and oftentimes it manifests in other things that don't always get checked off on that depression scale. So for instance, most often there's many of us who may deal with sleep challenges. We know that over-the-counter meds and sleep pills are one of the most prescribed types of medications in the entire nation because we have trouble sleeping. And again, when we have trouble sleeping, oftentimes that we might mask that. We might not recognize that it could be because of depression. Also, low self-esteem is something that often may show up in Black women that could be a sign of depression. Also, fatigue. How many times have you said, I'm tired? I'm too tired, girl. I'm tired, I tell you. How many times have you said that? And being tired is typically so hard. We typically are doing so many things that to say that you're tired or fatigued, that's almost normal a lot of times for African American women. And the other thing that might be part of depression may be irritability. Okay. And again, for those of you who work with African American women, you have seen some of these things before. So it is no surprise to you that some of these things might show up. So again, one of the reasons why we need to start preaching to the choir again is because depression and mental illness may look different in the women who are in our congregations. So we need to be ready and willing and open and ready to talk about these things. So again, that women can recognize this and get help for it. Okay. So that is the second reason why we need to start preaching to the choir. We need to start talking about, again, some of these things that are masking itself. They may be depression, but they are masking themselves as other things, or we're just not picking up on those things. And we need to be talking about these things openly. Okay, you shouldn't be tired all the time, right? Okay, so and maybe sometimes it is a bragging right that you're tired because oftentimes we feel like we are doing so much. So again, we need to look at it a little bit differently, especially when it comes to our African American women who are in our churches being the strong one and not feeling like that they can get health services. And are they going to be ones that address their faith issues as well? I know the many times that I sought counseling. Okay, it was important to me that I have someone that was a Christian who understood many of the situations that I was dealing with, and who understood the choices that I needed to make and how I made decisions. So that was very important to me, that I have someone who was at least a Christian, and at least who was willing to allow me to discuss what I was praying about, what my hopes and desires were, and my faith, and be able to talk about those things. All right. So again, second reason we need to start preaching to the choir again is because we don't want to miss depression, especially in the women who are sitting in the pews of our church every Sunday. All right. Okay, so the third reason why we need to start preaching to the choir is because churches are not equipped to handle most mental health challenges or most mental health situations. Again, sometimes when there are relationship issues, they might call the pastor. And again, I know this firsthand because I know the types of calls that my husband gets. He may have a couple who is dealing with some marital issues, and they will call him. And thank God he is a licensed Christian counselor and can help in some of those areas. But if we look throughout the churches, especially those of us who are in African American churches, we do not have that resource. Now, again, thank God there are some churches who have counseling ministries. There are some churches who even have programs who are counseling centers that are attached to their churches. But again, right, the way it stands right now, again, if the pastor's not talking about it, and if the church is not equipped to do it, then we're just missing an opportunity to help our people to be healthy and whole. Yeah, can I get an amen out there? Again, we are missing opportunities again because for a long time we know that there was a certain taboo about discussing your mental health challenges, or even your challenges that are creating that trouble I talked about in your life, whether that's relationship challenges. Now, we may be quick to talk to our pastor if we're experiencing career challenges, or maybe we feel like we are being discriminated against or something. But how often are we willing to step up and say, hey, I need some help? Okay, and be able to get that help when we are in the church. Now, I love more than anybody women's groups, and they are a safe place for women to gather. They're safe place for women to connect. In fact, there are studies that show that people who attend church regularly typically have less mental health challenges than people who do not. But again, when those challenges exist, who are you going to call? Where are you going to go? Because again, the church is not equipped. And again, sometimes we don't want to step outside and do a professional. But again, if we all ask the question, what if you're having mental health challenges, what should you do? We would all raise our hand and say, get some help, right? See a professional, right? But again, we are not often doing that because whether it's cost, whether it is feeling like nobody will understand, or again, whether it's feeling like that we can't get the help we need. All right. Okay. So again, I've just talked about the ways that the church has fallen short as far as helping, especially our women with mental health challenges. And again, professionals are doing a great job, and I really, really am excited to partner with those of you who have been providing services to Christian women as part of Pearls Perfected Institute. So, just in case this is your first time joining, let me talk to you a little bit about what I am doing to fill that gap in order to provide more services, especially for Christian African American women who desire or who need to access mental health services. Again, whether it's counseling or whether it's therapy, I want to help fill those gaps. So, let me tell you a little bit about Pearls Perfected Institute. Here's the opening page. And again, you access Pearls Perfected Institute at pearlsperfectedinstitute.com or janicrlove.com. All right, so here I am. And welcome to Pearls Perfected Institute, where we equip transform troubles meant for their bad into their blessed. So I am inviting all of you to, first of all, to join the community. My goal is to have the largest resource, especially for Christian women, when it comes to our health, to our wellness, to being whole and complete. So when you get into the opening page, it also tells you that we empower you to experience a full and abundant life in Christ by providing services to meet you where you are, including counseling, therapy, coaching, and online courses. So once you are signed up for Pearls Perfected Institute, again, I invite everyone, first of all, to just join the community, because eventually there might be services that you desire to have or to a part of. Again, whether that's our counseling services, our therapy services, or our online classes, or again, coaching services. But tonight, I want to focus on the counseling services that will be provided. Now, again, I am a licensed Christian counselor, but I am inviting professionals who desire to be a part of Pearls Perfected Institute to partner with us so that we can send referrals to you. So my goal is to put together the largest listing of professional women who are counselors or who are therapists, that when a woman comes to Pearls Perfected Institute, she can look at the list of resources of women who can serve her in this capacity. So what this means is it's simply a referral. So those of you who are professionals and therapists, I am inviting you to partner with Pearls Perfected Institute to be a part of our resource list. And again, what that would be basically is your name, a picture of you, your credentials, and we'd also like to know what area you specialize in, especially as it relates to Christian women. So this is a way to bless you. This is a way to enlarge your territory as well. So when you log into Pearls Perfected Institute, once you're signed up, and again, you have to sign up once you get to the homepage, you have to sign up in order to be able to access the rest of the information. Now, again, I am in the building phase. This is what God has placed in my heart, and this is where we are going. And I invite you to be a part of that. So when you get to the counseling page, it talks about where faith meets therapy to experience God's grace in the midst of your troubles. Remember, at Pearls Perfected Institute, we help you to transform your troubles that were meant for bad into your blessed. So whether that is a challenge with depression, or maybe PTSD, or other things that professionals handle, you can access them here at Pearls Perfected. I love it. So if you're a professional and you are interested in partnering with me, wherever site you're watching me at right now, just shoot me a notice, okay? Because this is a benefit to you, because maybe maybe your panel is full, maybe it's not, but this is an opportunity for you to serve women who come to Pearls Perfected Institute, which is the filling the gap for those services offered to Christian women. And I'm just excited about what God is doing there. So again, first of all, if you are a professional and you want to partner with me, please contact me. I'm also going to have a page out on Pearls Perfected Institute in the next day or so that tells you a little bit more about it, and there will be frequently asked questions. But again, it will be free to list your services. And again, we are simply giving you referrals. Okay. I love it. All right. So again, that is how we began preaching to the choir again, because we all agree that if we're having trouble, we should get some kind of help. So let's not withhold that, thinking that we all agree on that. Let's go ahead and keep preaching to the choir, whether it's in the pulpit, whether you're in a ministry of some type, or whether again you provide services. We want to keep that message loud and clear that if you are experiencing challenges, you need to seek professional help. Okay. All right. All right. So let me again, once again, we talked about tonight for the best mental health, it's time to start preaching to the choir, not brushing it under the rug, not just just telling people just to pray about it and not providing them with what they need. We are ready to fill that gap. Right.